Pronominalization and fronting. So let's look at this sentence. They all spin cocoon, and although their silk is not as fine as silkworms, several species are cultivated. If you look at this sentence, we have they and we have their. Unless we know that some noun has come before this sentence in some other sentence previously, we cannot understand what does this mean, right? We have to relate this they and their to that noun phrase. So it begins with they and that, as I've just said, right? So what do they and that there relate to? We must look for some preceding sentence and look for some noun phrase in that sentence which relates to this pronouns. The word they and their have the same reference as wild silk moths in countries like India and Japan. We are using the text sentences from the same text which we just discussed previously. They and their are co-referential. They relate to each other, right? They refer to the noun phrase that passed in the previous sentence. So they are co-referential. Since they can be substituted for a noun phrase, they are called pronouns, or more generally proforms, right? Obviously, we have talked so many times that when we use, and this is a very general simple fact, that we use pronoun to save the repetition of the noun. So they is used to save the repetition of the noun phrase, and similarly there was used for that purpose. Substitution by pronoun is called pronominalization. So it's a process like clefting, pseudo-clefting and other. So this substitution is known as pronominalization. When we replace a noun with a pronoun, so this process is known in transformational generative grammar as pronominalization. So like clefting and passivization, pronominalization can affect constituent only, right? So not the whole sentence. We have to deal with only the constituent and the complete constituent. There is another process which is known as fronting. The fourth sentence of the text: the sar is produced in a humid and dense belt of tropical forest in India. If we look at this sentence, in this sentence we can move certain constituent from its usual place to the beginning of the sentence. This sentence, for example, contains in a humid and dense belt of tropical forest in India, which may be moved to the beginning of the sentence. Like, in a humid and dense belt of tropical forest in India, tasa is produced. So you can look at this, that we have picked in a humid and dense belt phrase from the end of the sentence and have brought it to the beginning of the sentence. So this process is known as clefting. We call it clefting. Only certain sentence element can be fronted, and these elements must be constituents, right? We cannot say that we cannot pick the more than one element and bring it to the front position of the sentence. We can only bring one constituent at a time to the front position and just make this fronting. And this whole process is known as fronting process.